Hi Capricorn, welcome to June. So there's a lot going on this month in the skies. Firstly, the sun is going to be moving into Cancer, which is your 7th house of partnerships and contracts. Uranus is now officially in your 5th house of love and romance. And, ooh, 7 of Swords. And the King of Wands, interesting. So, Mars is going to be going retrograde in your house of personal income, worth, that type of thing. So your finances are going to take a little bit of a slowing down over the next couple of months. It's not the time to be spending. It's not the time to be doing new things with money, new investments, things like that. You're not going to have the momentum that you get from Mars. So while the last month or so has probably been quite good in getting a momentum, it's unfortunately about to slow down a little bit, but Mars is the warrior planet, so when it slows down, it's kind of like taking leave from battle, as it were. So it's a good time to reassess things, particularly if you're having a little crisis of confidence over the next couple of months, which you may experience with Mars on that side of the sky for you. But romantically, we have a lot of interesting stuff going on. You know, when the sun moves into your 7th house, you really get more focus on your one-on-one partnerships. So if you're in a relationship, you may be finding that you're thinking about it a lot more than usual, you're assessing it, and you're matching what's going on currently to your needs. Or if there's a lack of that, it could be that you are thinking about what you want in a future partner, which is always a better place to be than in a relationship that's not working. So one thing that I've just noticed is there is a fire sign in your life that's a little bit tricky. And when I say tricky, I feel like this is somebody that's lying or someone that's being a bit deceitful. I'm sort of seeing this as a false promise, but I'm sort of getting this in work. Someone in a position of authority making promises they can't keep, or making promises where they're benefiting off you. So I feel like this is possibly someone who is benefiting at your expense. So they're sort of selling you this really like flamboyant picture, but this to me sort of looks like there's just something about that I'm not quite sure, and I'm getting that towards work. Of course, in relationships, this could be with a Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries, possibly someone that you're suspecting, maybe telling a few porkies, or just someone in your life that you feel is being a little bit underhand. I'm getting a deceptive energy, but I feel like it could be more so to do with people in your immediate surroundings. Now, I mean, it's flicked out again, and this time it's with a romantic interest. So I feel like, God, this card really wants to be seen. There could be somebody in your life, romantically, that is keeping something from you. But that's not always. You know, I think the first thing that springs to people's minds is cheating, but it's not always. Sometimes they're hiding something to do with finance, they're hiding something to do with their future. For some of you it's work, and for some of you it's romance. So let's just get into it. It may also be somebody on the periphery of your romance. You may be feeling a little bit like people are interfering too much in your business. That's what I'm sort of getting. 8 of Pentacles crossed by the 9 of Wands. So yeah, this is that Mars energy that I was talking about with your finance. You've made progress. You've been getting more confidence in your money. You felt more able to save money, and then suddenly there's this halt. 9 of Wands is very much Mars retrograding energy. It's like feeling like it's a struggle, feeling like it's a bit harder to do, but it's not actually impossible. It's just that things sort of slow a little bit. Like there is lack of momentum, and the only way to deal with a Mars retrograding energy is to take the pressure off yourself. So not being so hard on yourself to meet certain deadlines or certain goals, or just reflecting. Retrogrades are there for a reason. They're not there to stop you. They're just there to give a bit of reflection. So King of Wands again, he's there. The 9 of Cups. So this could be a past person. This could be somebody that you were involved with in a past relationship that maybe turned out to be a little bit sketchy. The 9 of Cups to me is that offer that you've received that maybe seemed too good to be true. I do feel like this is surrounding a boss, to be honest, the Hangman. So there is going to be delays with that Mars energy. 8 of Swords. This seems a bit, it maybe seems a little bit pessimistic to now, Capricorn, but I have a good feeling about this, to be honest. 10 of Pentacles, 2 of Pentacles, balancing your checkbook, 2 of Cups, and the Ace of Swords. Yeah, there is a victory coming out of this. There is something better coming out of these delays. But there is a fire sign. I feel like this is a woman that you're suspicious of for some reason or another. Yeah, the World card. It could be a Leo, it could be a Taurus, it could be a Scorpio, or an Aquarius. Then I'm feeling Leo. Okay, so the picture that I'm getting, Capricorn, is that there are delays going on with this Mars energy, and that's fine. That's only going to be one aspect of your life. This is going to be financial, it's going to be a little bit delayed. There's going to be setbacks maybe in work. Maybe someone promised you a pay rise and there's going to suddenly be a waiting period for that. If you've signed contracts to leave, maybe there's going to be a delay in that. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of delays in your work environment and financially. Relationship-wise, I feel a little bit like you're wanting to reconnect with someone that you're feeling a little bit disconnected with for whatever reason. Now, I sort of feel like it may be to do with suspicions. I feel a little bit like you may be feeling disconnected because you suspect that they're not invested anymore. I think some of you are losing sleep over a situation with a romance. I also feel like some of you may be losing a bit of sleep regards to the work situation. I sort of see a lot of worry. Worry is typically a Capricorn trait. It happens. But the important thing to remember is that the Ace of Swords is your outcome card, and this is all about having conversations that matter. The Ace of Swords to me is always that moment where you get up your inner strength and you just say how you're feeling. Like you cut through the BS. You don't pander to anyone else's like, oh, I don't want to have that conversation type thing. You know, like we don't need to have this conversation. You're gonna have it. You're just gonna be like, I need to talk about this. Get it off my chest. That's where it is. Because at the minute you're in limbo because you're not talking about this. I feel like this is with a certain person, and I feel like there are suspicions or there are fears. And I don't think you had this before, because up until now I feel like things have seemed relatively smooth. I think things have seemed like you couldn't have picked a better person, or you couldn't have liked a better person. If this is somebody new, I feel like you had your rose tinted glasses on and you really thought the world of this person, and then suddenly there's this halt. There's this delay energy, and I think for you, you know, some Capricorns do find it hard to have specific conversations about how they're feeling, because it's not, you know, it's earth signs. A lot of it isn't, it doesn't seem practical, but it's still necessary. I feel like you could be dealing with someone where you have to do most of the communicating, or you have to learn how to communicate in a certain way with them. It's important not to wait too long to have conversations, because I think this is giving you some degree of anxiety or concern in the month of June. I think you may be having a little bit of you're dealing with this internally, and I feel like you could be dealing with this, you could be telling your friends, but you're not getting the fulfillment from that you could be getting if you actually spoke to the person directly. There's somebody in your life that you're having a bit of conflict with, that they might not actually be aware of, is what I'm sort of thinking. They may not be aware that you're feeling this way. Maybe when you try to have conversations with them about certain things, they shut you down, or they dismiss it. It may be something like that. 7 of Cups. Yeah, they're defensive. They're very defensive. They don't know how to talk about things because they don't see the problem. The problem is their behaviour, because the 7 of Cups here is all about temptations and options, and they're sort of seeing the things that they can get out of this world without consequence. So they're sort of, I feel like there was a lot of 7s in this reading, you know, the 7 of Swords popping out. I think this is to do with all the external benefits that they're getting from the world right now, and they're defensive about it because they know that they're neglecting you, and there's a lack of balance coming up here. I do feel like a lot of you have a Leo in the past, or a Leo person, but for the most part I do still see this as someone that's given you an offer that you felt you couldn't refuse. Yeah, if you delay talking about this, or you bury it, it's going to end up hurting you more, and it may end up causing a permanent rift between you and the other person. the message here is loud and clear. Don't delay having these conversations, because you're suffering, they're going to suffer, because you're going to hold in all this resentment towards this person if you don't have that conversation, and it's going to end in tears. Knight of Swords, swift energy. The Magician, Page of Cups, Two of Wands, and the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so there's the job thing coming through. There's the job offer coming through. I feel like you're going to get messages about this that were unexpected. I feel like there's possibly going to be messages of a change to a contract, or a change to the circumstances, or a change in pay. I almost feel a little bit like you're either really in control of your money, or someone else is in control of your money. If this is a contract that's been signed in Gemini season, it's probably going to end up being quite lucrative. So if it's been signed since the 21st of May until 21st of June, I believe, it's going to be lucrative. If it's been signed before then, I feel like there could be somebody that's manipulating your finances somewhat, or there's someone that's making you an offer with money, or like luring you in with money, or someone that's got more financial control than you do. And this is that Mars energy again I'm talking about. The delays, or they're not feeling as in charge of your finances as Capricorns would like to. I do feel a little bit like, in the midst of this miscommunication with, if it is a romantic partner, I feel like there's somebody that seems to be younger than you, a water sign. I see a water sign sort of weighing up their options. So you may be, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you may find a water sign giving you something to think about, or something, they may appear suddenly, and you may be relying on them for a change in perspective. You may be relying on your water sign friend, someone that can help you balance yourself back. Or you may have a friend who is a water sign and who's in a particular dilemma, and you're trying to even things out with them. I feel like friendship is more here than anything. Romantically, you may be juggling between choosing a person if you're single and you're in the midst of a new romance. If this is an actual romance, I don't see you doing that. But you may have to, if you're dating a younger water sign, you may have to weigh up the pros and cons of dating this person. So, because I can sort of see a romantic choice here, and it's sort of a, sticking with this one or going your separate ways. I see travel aspected, because you may have an opportunity to go elsewhere or travel elsewhere, and I feel like there's going to be a significant conversation regarding somebody moving or somebody traveling elsewhere. You may also have to have a conversation about someone who is hot and cold. You may have to call them out in that behaviour if they're being really into you one minute and they've suddenly disappeared, or they're spending more time with somebody else than you. And as I say, this conversation has to happen, because the more you delay this, the more hurt you're going to end up. I feel like delays are going to be very frustrating for you at the minute, Capricorn, but there's really just the one. Mercury doesn't go retrograde until July, and who doesn't love that? Okay, so I'm getting something about cars. Make sure that your car is in top shape and you're able to, you may be wondering about making payments on a car, or if you're struggling financially, maybe the first thought that came to your mind was a car. But I also see this as someone in your life that could be a Cancerian, or just getting more control over a situation. I feel like water signs are going to be significant for some of you. The Eight of Cups and the King of Swords. So you are wondering about walking away, because some of you could be dealing with an air sign, an Aquarius, a Libra, or a Gemini, or someone that has a moon in this sign. So if you're wondering about the person, if you don't know their moon or their rising, you can check out their birth date on a birth website, a birth chart website. Sometimes they represent as their moons, particularly men, I find, can sometimes come across as the moon. So this could be Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini. And they're causing an issue. And they're causing an issue because they're so in their head about what direction they want to go in, and you're getting frustrated because you're like, what about me? Like, what about my decisions? What about what I want? Because you're considering, like, where do I go from here with this person? Some of you signed a contract with a fire sign. Or some of you were involved romantically with a fire sign. And I feel like this was a very significant relationship. This could be a sun, moon, or rising fire sign. I'm getting Leo. 4 of Pentacles. Yeah, you're really freaking out about your money this month, Capricorn. But it's gonna be fine, okay? The World card, yeah. Somebody's getting the opportunity to travel and you're wondering what to do about this. So I have to be honest, Capricorn, there is a make or break thing going on here. And it so depends on communication. Like, it so depends on whether or not you can be open about your feelings and whether they can. If you're having issues in the beginning stages and you're not feeling like you can communicate it, or you're not feeling like you can trust them to keep your communications private, because I do feel like there's someone on the outside sort of looking in that gets the information as well. Like, it's not just you that gets to talk to your partner about this, they're talking to somebody else about this, or somebody else is having a very strong influence on them. I feel like somebody else's opinion is really, really, really irritating you. And it's between you two. So if you can communicate with them clearly, just be honest and say, I don't want you talking to everyone else about this. Queen of Wands, because there is an interference here. I do feel strongly like there's somebody on the outside. It could be a mother, though. It could be an interfering mother. So don't freak out about the third party thing. It could be just someone they go to advice, or a friend or something, but you're just not welcoming their opinion right now. This is the Mars energy that I was talking about in finance. Be careful about who you go into business with, because I do sense a little bit of trickery, and a good reevaluation of contracts and things is very significant. You know, get as many other people's opinions as you can. Don't be getting too attached to one thing. Some of you are definitely reassessing relationships, though. 4 of Cups. And the 5 of Wands, it just came out in reverse. It's the only card that's come out in reverse. I don't deal in reversals, but if one pops out by itself, I sort of take it as a sign. For me, this is all to do with eliminating the because it's in reverse, it's all about eliminating the competition. It's all about building bridges and ending of conflicts. Just what you want. And this only comes up with the conversation, okay? So it comes up with this being honest, and this being like communicating how it is that you're feeling, Capricorn. 2 completely different ways this month can go for you. One can be you say nothing, you hang around, you wait, you don't make a move, and that can actually end to a finality in a relationship. Like, it's just done. It really can be a make or break period for some people, and it depends completely on communication. You know, with the sun moving into your 7th house and Uranus in your 5th house, you know, love, romance, it can be unpredictable in this period, but at the same time, it can also be incredibly fulfilling if you learn a lesson. Like, Uranus will always make you learn a lesson that you've not learned yet. So if you're sitting on your feelings and you're too afraid to rock the boat, that's going to be a problem, because they're going to wonder why you didn't tell them. The deceptive energy may switch, and they may think that you've been deceptive by keeping it to yourself. But if you do have this conversation, I can see an end to conflict, I can see an end to problems, I can see an end to petty dramas, and I can even see you guys planning a trip together, because the Knight of Wands can be traveling. So there may be a conversation about travel, but you have to be frank with this person, because your month depends entirely on it. You know, just be very wary of other people's conversations. You know, when you're listening to someone, listen intently. This month is going to be entirely about listening and communicating in an effective way. It's not about fighting. Fighting seems very like something that you sit on for a long time and it builds up and then poof. So I would recommend having those conversations soon, Capricorn, rather than later, because I have to be frank, I think if you sit on this for a long period of time, it can cause a lot of fractures. But the more honest you are, I can see much better results. The month is entirely split into 2 different directions. So one way is ending a relationship, and the other way is taking charge of your own fate. Because the end is 3 major arcanas, that's not up to you. If you sit on your feelings and you feel like a victim, you're going to end up generating that kind of result. So there is a point this month where you can have that conversation. If you have that conversation and you do it well, I can see you in a much better position. You just have to be calm. And what Capricorn is not calm? So I hope you enjoyed that reading, Capricorn, and I will see you again in July.